The presidential election slated for the 25th of February is no doubt a much anticipated one. Nigerians are beginning to speak about who will emerge as the president of the country. Political bigwigs, religious leaders are not left out of the game as they await Saturday's election. Massive defections from parties have also been witnessed in the last few days. As we count down to the Saturday poll, what chances do these flag bearers have? What are their plans for the Africa's most populous nation? Joining me on today's discussion, Director General of Abdulwahid Omotayo Odunuga, NNPP candidate, House of Representatives, Kusofe Federal Constituency, Omokende Agbedino, and policy and political affairs analyst, Oluwatosin Tijani. Together, we'll be doing justice to this discussion. Michael Adegunle is my name, and you're watching Political Matters. I'll be back in a jiffy. You're welcome back to the program. Like I told you earlier on, we have two gentlemen in the studio with me, Omokende Agbedino and Oluwatosin Tijani. You're welcome, gentlemen. You're welcome. Yeah, the much anticipated election is just a few days away, and I believe Nigerians are, very, very much optimistic to exercise their franchise. But despite this election that we are expecting, I realize that there are certain challenges that are really biting hard on Nigerians. Now, have we ever had it this bad since the inception of democratic rule?
I don't know what you are addressing. What is the issue of the currency?
Yeah, the currency, there is a scarcity of the naira notes.
I never experienced these issues since I was born. So never the political situation of the country. But what I can say is that the APC government at the national level, they have politicized everything, including the CBN. The CBN ordinarily should be an independent organization manned by professionals with that regard. They have politicized the CBN. The presidency is directly controlling the CBN. Each ordinarily should not be. If not for politics, we should and we will not appeal this type of situation.
All right, success. We understand that the present situation in the country is really a worrisome one, and we believe the government needs to do the needful before the main day. I'm talking about the D-Day, February 25th election. Now, what's your take on it?
Okay, so concerning the 2023 elections, I think there are a lot of factors that are really playing into the election. For over a decade, I've been involved in electioneering processes, political processes in Nigeria, and I know there are factors that always play out before every election. And this is all about politics, and we cannot play down on the effect of factor of politics in whatever is playing out now. But I think my points will majorly be how the whole issue has been handled by this present administration. So I have issue with first of the fact that there's a breach in communication and there's poor management of communication from the side of the federal government. Okay. So starting from the side of the first scarcity, this started as far back as November last year. So we didn't hear anything from the government as to why Nigerians are going through this hardship in terms of getting payments to service their businesses or to continue with their day-to-day activities. There was no communication from any side of the government as to why we have to go through this pain and this suffering every day, unnecessary queue at the filling stations, a lot of expectation by people selling petrol to you. So there was no communication. So we have a minister who oversees that cabinet. There was no communication. We have people who are GMDs of NNPC. There was no communication as to what is really going on. We have the NOPEN, we have different associations. There was no communication as to why this is going to happen, and this is what we are doing to ensure that we cushion the effect and all of that. And they allowed us to linger into the election. So what has that contributed to the election? So it has kind of affected the conversation. So the conversation has now take a different shape from, okay, looking at the election critically itself. Why do Nigerians want to change in government? What are the critical issues? So we are now back to saying that, okay, scarcity of fuel is one reason why this is going this way. Scarcity of fuel is why this person is doing this. That shouldn't be the conversation. We should be looking at this critically the way they are supposed to be. What is the next level for Nigeria? What are the things that we need to do? Since 1999, since we come back to democracy, there hasn't really one significant change that you can point at. In terms of power sector, there hasn't been any significant change. In terms of infrastructure development, there hasn't been any significant change. In terms of how governance, has been, how governance has been over time. So these are the things we are supposed to be talking about, not fresh scarcity being politicized, not naira scarcity being politicized, using to return somebody. All of those things shouldn't have been a conversation we are having towards the election. So I think this is just my point.
When you look at it very well, vividly, one of the major factors we used to see as a factor that could affect election is insecurity. But this time around, food security is playing out. The naira scarcity is playing out. The fuel scarcity. Now, is Buhari doing this to benefit the masses? I'm talking about the redesign of the naira notes. Is this policy being implemented to favor the masses, or or is based on its own selfish interest?
Okay, so the last time I checked, I didn't have so many positions to speak on behalf of anybody.
Okay.
I didn't have so many positions to speak on behalf of the government or against the government. Okay. But I'll be speaking objectively as a citizen of this country. Okay. And I'll be speaking objectively as somebody who has been taught on how policies are being designed. Okay. So there are 5 different levels and stages of policies. And I think the last part will be implementation. So from the agenda setting and all of that, then down to the implementation. But I can tell you categorically that the policy will fail at the point of implementation if you don't have the right agenda towards that policy. So when the government came out and CEO said himself that, okay, this is why we are designing this naira note. We want to control inflation. We want to checkmate people who have been alleged to be corrupt in the system. So on this basis, that is objective enough. If you say you want to control inflation, that's why you're changing the naira note. If you say you want to control banditry and terrorism, this is why you are changing the naira note. If you say you want to fight corruption, that this is why you are changing the naira note, that is not bad. But the implementation, I think it went wrong with implementation. I think the implementation has been politicized in my understanding. As I said earlier, I'm not speaking on behalf of the government, I'm not speaking against the government. I'm speaking objectively for my opinion. I think the implementation at the point of implementing that policy was purely politicized.
Just like what Kennedy said the other time, you said it has been politicized. Now, politicized in what sense? Now, you are the DG of let me read it from here. I think it should be displayed on the screen. The Director General of Abdulwahid Omotayo Odunuga, that's Abu, NNPP candidates, House of Representatives, Federal Constituency. Now, I know you have a presidential candidates on the platform, which happens to be Rabi Kwakwanso. Now, apart from Rabi Kwakwanso, we have other political candidates that are vying for these presidential seats, the likes of Ashwad Bola Tinubu, the former Lagos State Governor. We have former Anambra State Governor, Peter Obi, and the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar. Now, you use what? Politicized. Politicized in what sense? Politicized to favor which party in this election?
The fact is that there's a crack in the APC as a party. To my understanding, from critical local institutions, the APC as a political party has been cracked, divided into 2. The presidencies, who are referred as the Kaba and the Bola Tinubu angles. Those people who are not favored at the primary, at the primary levels, who are against Tinubu as a candidate of the party. that want to derail policies of these narrative design policies. The concealment of that policy was tainted political issues. It is not made ordinarily from the beginning to fulfill the interests of the masses.
Was it that the president had that plan initially before the election?
The president is not professional bankers or dealing with the issue of monetary governance.
But he has the civilian governor.
He has the civilian governance. He relied on the advice of the civilian governance. The monetary and financial governance must never be muddled with political affairs. It should strictly on professional levels. But in a situation where they have the CBN, the governors, it's being directed by presidencies. For it to be directed by the presidencies. There's no way you know have this type of issues. There's no way you can do it. You must give the professional who know how to do, who know the way out on the issues of particular to give you good advice on these issues. I know particularly when they said Supreme Court of the Land of Given and other verdict and injunction on the issue, and the president is not ready to obey. What can you tell that angle? The CPM is already politicized.
There is a president that said, it's meant to curb, the act of vote buying in the election.
The president,
and of course, the act of vote buying has been a persistent act in Nigeria's election.
Yes,
or
yes,
democracy.
there's ICPC,
Okay.
there's police, there's soldiers, security agencies. You can do that. Not the CPN. It's not part of the mandate of the CPN as organizations. So it's not the part of the mandate. Let me tell you, the Supreme Court of the Land give an injunction on issues. Ordinarily, the president has to obey it because that is the law of the land. And the law of the land is the one that creates the presidencies. The presidency as an individual is different from the president as an individual is different from the presidencies. When you want to exercise that authority of the presidency, you must obey the law. If the president is not obeying the law, then they're promoting anarchies. Agonies and suffering of the people. That's what I'm saying.
So no respect for rule of law.
Yes. So I don't know what the solution would be now. The way I'm seeing it is, I don't see presidents reversing the policies. And I don't even see the president still obeying the Supreme Court judgment. We just have to wait till maybe after the elections.
We have just about how many days to go? Where do we go from here? Nigerians are so much optimistic, very optimistic about this election, and they want to go out there to vote. But even the person talking to you presently, it was difficult for me to get to work today. I had to borrow money from my landlords, to get to the office today. Now, how can we manage all this when we have election coming?
Okay, so I think for the influence of financial engagement in elections, I think that would reduce to the barest minimum as we go into this election.
Okay.
And that is key for me as a person. Like I said, I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody. I'm speaking like a citizen.
Okay, that means you're supporting the aspect of capturing the acts of vote buying.
Of course.
Elections.
If the president so to speak, believes that this policy will help checkmate the issue of vote buying. Of course, we know that if you allow vote buying to fly in an election, we know what the consequences will be. It means that the poverty that has been used as a weapon, as a tool to buy the conscience of people will continue. When you keep people in poverty, then what you do is to come back again at every 4 years election, then give them 2,000 naira, 1,000 naira, 5,000 naira, as the case may be, and they should vote for you. So we are trying to buy the conscience of the people, which in clear terms will not play out, in the country at large. It will not play out well. So when people do not really exercise their conscience because of poverty, because of hunger, we carry the vote. So on that basis, I think I support that policy.
But we asked of the president, the other thing is unleashing poverty, to the country.
Okay, so there has never been any time where there will be implementation of any policy. This is Nigeria for now. We are at that level where We are developing. We are not yet a developed country.
Have you seen banks? Have you seen the queue?
So I'm coming up with a point.
Okay.
So development comes with pros and cons.
Okay.
So UK just designed their currency when the Queen passed on, and the King is now on the throne. So they will allow that currency to exist side by side in the economy to the point where the new currency has now been properly circulated, then the old currency can be defaced. But we are not there yet as a country. So there will be pains of development, and this is what we are going through. So if the government or if the president has come out to say that this policy will help check vote buying, I think that is good. The president has also come out, and mind you, I am not an APC member.
Okay.
I am not for the government.
Okay.
So I'm not saying this maybe because I support the government or I support APC. No, that's fair enough. But I'm trying to look at things objectively. I'm trying to look at the reasons given why this policy should fly. So if you also say that, okay, and look at it, since this policy has been implemented, we rarely hear about any case of kidnapping. We rarely hear about any case of banditry. We rarely hear about any of these problems or this issue of insecurity or insurgency. So it means that policy is actually doing something somewhere. But the pain that Nigerians have, I'm also going through that pain. Today it was really difficult for me to get money. So it's just that the level where we experience the pain might be different, like it might differ. But we are all in this together. Let us give it time to fly. Let us give it time to, it's very, very crucial and critical as we move on to this election on Saturday. So I think we should allow the policy service.
But the question is, why now? This is a person that has used over 7 years.
Yes, I think my point will not be different from this point of that. Okay, there are vested interests. Okay, that is why it is now.
It is now.
Yes, it's all about vested interests. I can't really say where these interests are or where these interests lie, but I can tell you categorically that they are vested interests. They have through the civilian or through the presidency. Okay, so they are vested interests, and that's why it's coming out.
Okay. Now, are we expecting a free, fair, credible election come February 25? That is if the election will hold. Do you see the election holding?
Definitely, the election will hold. But election itself is just once in 4 years issues. When we are talking about governance, the society, and the development of society, it's even more than the elections. People themselves must continue to engage their government. We must organize ourselves. The young people must organize. The market women must organize. We must continue to engage ourselves against our debt and bring out our ideas. Challenge your government. Governance and development is not about election alone. It's just one day over 1,000 plus days. For
365 days.
Not even 365 days. That's 1,200 days.
I'm
just one day. 1,200 something days. Just one day. So the governance and development is more than the elections. We must not really focus everything about elections. After the election, what next? We must engage those people who are putting to governance. This is very important. It is not through the election. Even if we elect a particular person, you must engage the person. That is, you must begin as an individual, as a group, to engage government, coming with ideas and whatever to engage your government. For example, when you elect people who go back, they don't do anything, and some people what you need not to do just to at the election day, go to the election and vote. Election do not stop there.
It goes beyond that.
It goes beyond that.
It goes beyond February 25.
Yes, you must begin to engage the government. Join political parties. Join political organizations. Bring out ideas. Set up a shadow government at your local government level, at your state government level, at the federal government level. Put up ideas.
Now, whether we like it or not, we have 3 or about 4 major contenders in this year's election, the likes of Rabico Konso, Bola Tinubu, Peter Obi, and Atiku Abubakar. Who among these 3 do you think exhibits a leadership trait?
Well, in terms of leadership traits,
don't be partisan.
This is not a partisan issue. It's not about leadership traits. you cannot really base the election in terms of the political leadership traits. When we're talking about the elections, it's not about popularities. Election, any electors, any level of government is not about popularities. It's not about maybe you are well known. It's not about the ability to convert that your popularity to election and election day. We do have people on the ground. They are not going anywhere. No matter you are been crying all over, they are not going anywhere. For example, let me show you as a fact and statistics. We have close to 180,000 polling booths over the countries. LPA, as a political party, we have 40,000. NNPP will have 20-something thousand. It's only PDP and APC have 1,000. Who do you want to win? It's very clear. They are going nowhere.
Even the Labour Party,
They are going nowhere.
the obedient.
That is just the realities. You need people to be on ground to move people to election to convert that love they have for you to a fault.
Even your party.
You say we should not pay.
No. I love your statement. I know your statement.
If you say my party,
Don't forget his influence in the north.
when you see my party at the level I am, we are winning the people at our level at our constituency. There's no way because we are on ground. Our candidates are good, very rooted at the grassroots level. But when we are talking about the national level, that is just the fact on ground and statistical ground.
APC, PDP.
The issue is about just the 22.
Okay. Now, he has just made a very good point here, and I want you to also say something concerning it. Now, despite much talks about Peter Obi not spending, not mobilizing people with money to vote for him, not persuading people to vote for him, by spending money or spending any other thing, that is we spend in the election period. Now, there is this talk out there that Obi is among the intellectuals, the leaders that we want in the country. Is it true? And how do you see Obi, in this election? Do you think Obi has that chances of winning this poll?
Okay, so for me, I think when people ask me this question, the response I used to give to them is, I leave Nigerians to decide whatever they want. So, the candidates, so partisanship aside, sentiment aside, okay, bias aside. Yes, we are also sentimental, one way or the other. We have our biases, one way or the other. But I think if we want to look at it objectively and ask ourselves some critical questions, I think we all sit on the stage can grasp some facts. So, Kwankwaso, yes, a good candidate as he has presented himself. Bola Tinubu, a good candidate as he has also presented himself to his followers, to his people. Okay. Atiku, a good candidate as he has presented himself to his people and his followers, his audience. Peter Obi, a good candidate as well as he has also presented himself to his people and his followers. But now let's ask ourselves some critical questions. Just like you said, and I beg to differ, popularity goes a long way in any election. So if you are not popular in any election, you are going nowhere. So why is popularity very, very important? So we have an election where it is not only for you to win, like have the highest number of votes. You must also have at least 25% of your votes in the total of the 36 states. So you have somebody that is very, very clear and that is very, very clear for everybody to see. And is pulling the crowd and is speaking to the people that would care to listen. Speaking to the people that have been on the side of bad leadership and has been the people whose bad leadership has really affected them. People who poor management of the country as its way has really affected them. People whose future looks very, very bleak because they find themselves in an environment or a system that has ceased to work, but has failed to work. So look at these people. These are the ordinary Nigerians.
These are the average Nigerians. And there is somebody that is speaking the language that they want to hear. Where do you think the votes go? So there's a critical statement by Nelson Mandela. He said, if you speak to a man in the language that he hears, that goes to his head. But if you speak to a man in the language that he understands, that goes to his heart. These are very, very critical statements. If you speak to a man in a language that he hears, it goes to his head. But if you speak to a man in a language that he understands, hearing and understanding are two different things. If you speak to a man in a language that he understands, that goes to his heart. And you have a candidate that is speaking to people in the language that they understand. And what are these languages? Showing them the problem the country has been experiencing for years and how to provide solutions to these problems. Showing them why the country is not working for them and how he has presented himself as a person or an individual who wants to make the country work for them. A candidate that has clearly demonstrated that with him, corruption is going to be like a thing of the past. Why? Because he will give you statements and he will say, go and verify. And this is Nigeria. And you are running against the establishment. You are running against people, who control the wherewithal of the state. They want to stop you by all means. Not just to take you off the race, like eliminate you, but to get some, issues that can indict your person. And they've not been able to provide anything against this person. You think they're not trying to find out, or you think they're not trying to check what can stop him. But he will say, if you can find something against me that I've done at one point in time or the other, I will withdraw from this race. Who among these candidates can make this statement clearly? So why are we asking ourselves, who do we need at this time?
You made a lot of brilliant statements. So much was from you. Well, there is a man that that said that has no structure.
Okay, so in terms of structure,
don't forget that he plays a vital role in the election.
I think I'll answer that. Like you said, he gave us some numbers at that time. I think if we all go back now to the internet, and especially INEC website, we will see the development that is there. So the first number that said Labour Party has 40,000, over 40,000, that's fact lie. If you go back to the internet, you will see what is there now. Then remember that yesterday there was a big merger between Labour Party and ADC. So this merger, what do you think this merger will do? This merger will make the polling unit agents that are supposed to be working for ADC, they will match up with the polling unit agent that will work for LP. What happens to the number? It shoots up. Because they have adopted this person as their presidential candidate. So it means that every of their structure will now work for this person, plus the structure that this person already has. So who has the advantage in this election? Talking about structure. So I think I've been able to provide us.
All right, do you agree with him?
Well, I'm not totally disagree with you, but the fact is that we don't have any messiah. We are just individuals. There's no single individual that can solve our problem. There's no single individual that can have solution to issues. No. Atiku is no messiah. Atiku is no messiah. So also, Obi is not messiah. If you could remember, Obi himself is a part of PDP. And in fact, he subscribed to the idea of PDP and to the manifestos of Atiku. They are more the idea, the manifestos, and the belief and understanding of Atiku. He subscribed to it. He was the first candidate. You cannot tell me there may be such a person is a messiah now. You just want to use the opportunities of the ENSAS issues, the agitation of young peoples. You want to catch on it. You do not have really in real terms a different ideas that is very different from that article. No. It should be part of the Labour Party. What are the critical issues that he has addressed that involve the workers? To be honest to you, when he was in power in Anambra, the health worker, over 8 months, they are on strike. The labor chapter, almost 11 months, they are on strike there. So the issue is very clear when you look at it critically. OP himself is not a messiah. There's nothing he can do. Because it's part and parcel of this establishment.
And like what you said, it seems OP is an opportunist.
Well, talking about being an opportunist, I think that would be a very, very wrong statement to use by anybody. The very first person that used that statement is Sheo Plessy. And he got the backlash that suits that kind of utterance. So I think, how do you call somebody an opportunist where you are giving yourself to your cause, a cause you really believe in? So how do you call somebody an opportunist where this person has, for the love of the country, put himself forward for an assignment at this point in time? Of course, there is no really separating the NSAS movement and the agitation of the youth as at that time. That's one thing that people are getting wrong.
So it is people that are
So,
in the
like
system.
I said, I am not speaking for anybody. I have not assumed the position to speak for anybody, either for Labour Party or for. But I'm speaking, yes, it is very, very important that we make our biases known. My bias is for the Labour. My bias is for Labour Party. Mind you, I'm using the word bias because we are all biased one way or the other. But my bias is for the Labour. My bias is for Labour Party. And I have my reasons. So, answer the question of being an opportunist and the NSAS movement. So, there is nobody that will come outside of the system to save the system. Obi has put himself forward as somebody within the system to take up the mantle of leadership in Nigeria as at this time that is critical. Mind you, remember I said somebody is speaking the language that the youths, the frustrated, the agitated, that they want to hear. So as at that time, who among the youths has the resources or the connection or the power, to fight the system? You can't put a Shirore forward to fight the system. Right? I will give you a clear answer. The reason why you can't put a Shirore forward to fight the system is because the kind of statement Obi is making today as to, if I have anything somewhere hidden in my cupboard, bring it out and I will withdraw from this election. I do not think Shirore can make that statement confidently or conveniently.
Someone who has been fighting against the government, fighting against bad governance.
So there is a clear difference between being an activist and between being somebody who wants to put yourself forward to serve the country. Anybody can be an activist. I am not playing down on his person or his personality or what he's doing for the country. No, I'm just trying to say that somebody outside of the system cannot save the system. That's my argument. That's my point. Somebody outside the system cannot save the system. You have to be, because the person will not fall down from heaven. Yes, he made a very clear point that Obi is part of PDP and he was the vice to Atiku at some point and all of that. Why is he coming out to say, okay, he's the one that wants to do wonders, or in quotes wants to be the leader of Nigeria? Remember, there was a video where Obi was challenging the powers that be in PDP. He was challenging the power that be in PDP that this and this and this has to be done. If we are not doing this, we are lying to ourselves. The video is out there for everybody to see. And it was really giving them, like, it was lashing on them, so to speak. It was making them see why it can no longer be business as usual. But they, maybe for whatever reason they didn't align. And it felt like, okay, this is not where. Remember, before the primaries of PDP, Nigerians have already been walking on the street. PDP give us Obi. I can remember very vividly the walk or the movement as Ikeja, Computer Village. If I can't remember any other one, I can remember another one very, very vividly. People started the movement with banners, with PDP give us Obi. And they, for whatever reason, they didn't give him. For whatever reason, for him as well as a person, as an individual, he moved to the Labour Party.
Now, if at the end of the day Obi fails to win this election, how would you feel?
Well, like I said, I have leave everything to Nigerians rather to decide. I am playing my part. I will play my part. People deserve the leader that they have actually. The people will deserve the kind of leader. So let's see what Nigerians are saying. Let's know if Nigerians really want something different from the old order. Nigerians will decide or determine the kind of leader that they want. But for me, it's just that I cannot live all by myself. Nobody exists alone. I would have loved to just, but let Nigerians decide the kind of leader I want. But for me, I have decided that this is the person I want as my leader. And God willing, that will be my leader.
All right, thank you so much. All right, before we go, let's quickly talk about your candidates, in the House of Representatives representing the federal constituency. Now, what's happening, and how do you feel about development? What's your candidate going to do for the people?
So the reception is very good. We are winning. Okay. We are winning. Our candidate is very rooted in the local government. Has participated in community development for over 30 years. We have influenced many development programs within the local government. So we're in the local government. So in addition to it, in terms of election purpose, the Kasuya movement, they are rooted in Kosovo, is part of deeply rooted in Kosovo and in my 12 and sharing us. They are deeply rooted here. So in terms of election, they are not supporting that. So definitely we are winning the elections.
Why NNPP instead of APC, PDP that are well known here in Lagos State?
Thank you. Why do we do that? Why NNPP? Because the president, as the party that occupied the place and the personality that occupied the place, look at what is in terms of development of the communities, that's it done. In terms of the capital development of the people within the community, what has it done?
It's from which party? APC, right?
APC. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing to write to. And when we look at the candidate, the present person here now is only used 4 years. They cannot even return him. That shows to you that the party itself is rejecting him. So the new person that they brought is not known to the local government. It's an even imposition to the parties. So we are very rooted in local government. We are winning.
And the victory is sure.
Definitely.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for coming on board. And I really appreciate your success. Thank you so much. And on this note, we'll say goodbye to you on today's edition of Political Matters. Join us next time on the same platform. Michael Adekunle remains my name. You can join us on our social media handles displayed on the screen. Bye for now.